So before we actually get into today's video, I want to talk to you guys about jerseyfifa.com, because as you can see they have hooked me up with a load of fresh shirts for this year's World Cup. I've got the England home kit, the England away kit, and also a nice little retro shirt. And you can do exactly the same if you head to jerseyfifa.com using the link in the description down below. They also do the same for club football as well. The latest home shirts, away shirts, but also some really nice retro kits. If you are interested, head to the link in the description down below and use code jerseyfifa for a discount when you order. Now into the video.
Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we have what I believe will be the last World Cup video on the channel, of course, the World Cup final. Now, if you guys do want, like, my team at the tournament, or my post-tournament thoughts, or Manchester United players at the tournament, or Argentina's tactics at the tournament, then let me know in the comments down below. But I think I probably will go straight back to the club content after this video, where, of course, we are going to talk about how Argentina won the World Cup, but also how and why it wasn't straightforward. How France did give them challenges, but also how Argentina dealt with some of those challenges. A little bit of everything, because this game kind of had a bit of everything, apart from maybe a big controversial sending off, something like that. But let's start with France on the ball. Yes, Argentina won, but let's talk about France, because we know how France play. We know that they do want to get their foot on the ball when they can. Yes, they're happy to let you have possession, but they also want spells where they're on top, especially with players like Griezmann and Mbappe. They do want to get on the ball and have their own say in possession. When they were trying to do this, they came up against what was kind of a 4-4-2, with Di Maria tucking in on the left-hand side and Alvarez and Messi forming the front two. This was kind of the approach that they looked to go for. From here, we know that they like to build in a back three, with Upamecano, Varane and Koundé forming a back three, Theo Hernandez pushing further forward, Mbappe coming inside, Dembele holding the width on the other side, and Griezmann pushing up into this right half space. Now, to me, it seemed like Argentina decided that Griezmann was the man that they needed to stop. One of the big dangerous plays of France so far this tournament, including even against England in a game where they weren't so good, their one dangerous play that they still really had was Dembele coming into feet, getting the ball, dragging the fullback, and then playing this ball in behind for Griezmann to run onto. And I think Scaloni for Argentina identified that, yes, Mbappe down the left-hand side is very dangerous, but Argentina have the ball to try and counteract that. They also needed to stop France's right-hand side because of how effective it can be, and they had a few different ways of doing that. So, one of the things that they done was they asked Messi and Alvarez to do a defensive job. Now, we know that Messi, from a defensive point of view, isn't going to do a ton of hard work. He's not going to go sprinting and pressing and harassing players. That's not his game. However, what he did do, he did still do a defensive job, and he basically shadow pressed or shadow covered Tchouaméni. So he was trying to stop the centre-backs having the easy pass in here. Like I said, he wasn't sprinting and pressing the ball. He just kind of sat in between the player on the ball and Tchouaméni to stop this central ball progression initially. What it's done was it meant that France were often looking to build down his right-hand side with Varane and Koundé. Alvarez used Varane as the pressing trigger, which is not something we've seen too much in this tournament, which would force him to play wide to Koundé, and then Di Maria was very keen, very intent on getting up nice and early, and playing Di Maria on this left-hand side was tactical genius. I was thinking before the game that that would be the change that they would make, and he done it absolutely brilliantly. And what it's done by putting pressure on Koundé and Varane in these areas is it meant that even if France did get the ball forward, they were getting the ball forward with less quality simply because the players were under pressure, which now meant that Tagliafico could go touch tight with Dembele. So if he did get the ball, Tagliafico was right there. And then we saw McAllister kind of in and around Griezmann in this area, but also Otamendi being aggressive if Griezmann did go. And what it done was it stopped the quality ball progression down this right-hand side, because Varane and Koundé didn't have time, so they were forced into some sloppy passes, and we did see that from this French team, some really sloppy play. But also they were really tight on Griezmann and Dembele, combined with the fact that Dembele had an awful game. I feel sorry for the guy. He's a wonderful player, wonderful talent, had his problem with injuries the past few seasons. This year he's really got going, but this was bad. This was a really, really bad performance by him. Hooked after about 40 minutes, which you just don't want that, especially in a World Cup final, so I do feel a bit sorry for him, but he wasn't good enough. But some of that was because of Argentina's tactics. From a tactical point of view, they stopped France's progression down this side really well, and that kind of nullified the rest of the attack. Of course, France still carried a threat down the left-hand side, with Theo Hernandez getting forward and Mbappe coming into this more inside area, giving France this 3-2-4-1 shape like this. But De Paul on this side of the pitch, but also Enzo Fernandez, they done a brilliant job of getting around the ball. Getting multiple players in this area and not giving Mbappe time, not giving Theo Hernandez time, Romero even being super aggressive into the challenge on Mbappe. And again, like it did with Griezmann on the other side of the pitch, it really stopped them getting into the game. And Theo Hernandez was another player who had a poor game, Perhaps not quite as poor as Dembele, but still just not good enough, unfortunately, for him. And this meant that Argentina then used this as the point to counter-attack from getting in this space in behind Theo Hernandez. Upamecano was indecisive when he was coming out, acting kind of neither here or there, kind of getting caught in between a little bit. And then this leaves space for players like Alvarez, but also Messi dropping into this little area here. It was just very good from Argentina. Defensively, they were brilliant. They stopped France and then kind of got the ball from there and looked to transition. But of course, they also carried a lot of threat in sustained possession as well. So when we came into the game, I thought we all expected that when Argentina were going to have sustained spells on the ball, that France would sit off into their 4-4-2 shape and be quite stubborn and hard to get through. We've seen it in previous rounds, including against England, teams like that players like Antoine Griezmann, Rabiot have got through some really good defensive shifts. Not the case in this game. And there were problems everywhere, realistically. Everywhere they had an issue. So initially you've got Giroud and Mbappe up front, and like I've said throughout the tournament, they are not going to press you. So immediately Argentina are able to get a foothold on the ball there because the centre-backs have time on the ball, meaning that they can build possession and look to play forward. From here, Argentina were brave with how they used their fullbacks, pushing both Molina and Tagliafico reasonably high, reasonably early in the move, and then they got Enzo Fernandez and De Paul both dropping in to form a double pivot here. McAllister pushes forward into this half space, Messi is in this half space on the right hand side, and like I said, Molina pushing forward, just stretching the pitch, making the pitch nice and big. What they done from here was targeted a France weakness. It's exactly what the Argentinian manager has done all tournament. He's looked at the opposition and gone, their weakness is in this area of the pitch, so that's the area of the pitch we're going to target. And it's actually really nice to see from a tactical point of view. We see a lot of managers these days, which I do agree with, kind of having their principles, their set principles, this is how we are going to play. Scaloni's done it a little bit different and looked to target other teams' weaknesses, but it's been really good to see because it's given us some different tactical battles. And what they looked to do was take advantage of the fact that Mbappe on the left-hand side doesn't particularly defend. He did track more than he normally does in this game, but he still doesn't do it with great intensity, and that Rabiot can get caught. He's a bit lazy going backwards at times. It's something I said earlier in the tournament. And with De Paul, Molina and Messi, but also Romero all playing down this side of the pitch, it led to really easy ball progression. Really easy ball progression down this right-hand side. They also had spells where they could progress the ball down the left-hand side as well, where Enzo Fernandez would drop in and get the ball. Wonderful player on the ball, one young player of the tournament. Keep an eye on him. Incredible talent. He's going to get a big move soon. And that would kind of draw Griezmann out, so there was progress there. But what they looked to do was actually combine the two. So you had Enzo Fernandez, or perhaps at times Paul, dropping into these areas, trying to draw Griezmann out of his position. Now you might think that the play from there is to get the ball into McAllister, in behind Griezmann, because he's left that space. But that isn't actually what Argentina looked to do. Instead, they would then move the ball down the right-hand side, knowing that Mbappe and Rabiot are not the most secure defensively. Meaning that Argentina could get the ball forward, work the ball into these pockets of space, and now we can see the hole left by Griezmann. Once the ball has got into either Molina in this area, carrying the ball forward, but more so Messi in this little pocket of space, Upamecano doesn't know whether to get tight or not, Tchouaméni is distracted by other players, other runners. Now we can see the issue with Enzo Fernandez drawing Griezmann out of position, because even if he does get back in, McAllister is now the wrong side of him, making runs in here, which naturally draws Jules Koundé in, and this is where the switch could then be played to Di Maria, and Di Maria up against Koundé was a bit of a mismatch. Di Maria absolutely destroyed him. Now, Dembele at times could have got back to help him a bit more, but even when he did, Tagliafico was pushing forward, and Argentina genuinely were just very bold in the way that they played. We've seen several teams set up quite cautiously against France, not wanting to get counter-attacked. That didn't seem to be in the minds of Argentina. We can see here they've got a 2-2-6 shape, with both the fullbacks pushing forward, the wingers coming inside, getting on the ball, Messi of course getting on the ball, creating overloads in the middle of the pitch with players like De Paul, Fernandez, Messi, McAllister, Alvarez also occasionally able to drop in. It was really, really good tactically from Argentina, and they just kept getting at this France team, got into that deserved lead, but the match wasn't done there, was it? So to be fair to Deschamps, he did react well from a tactical point of view, changed to essentially a 4-4-2, getting Mawani and Thuram on just before half-time, a double change just before half-time, really unheard of, but it was a good change, and it certainly helped France in the second half, from a defensive point of view, but also an attacking point of view. So initially, defensively, what it done was it stopped Argentina having such easy progression down this side of the pitch. We can see that now you've got Thuram in this area instead of Mbappe. Naturally, they do now have the extra player. So whereas before Mbappe was high and Rabiot was getting drawn out into these areas, which then drew Tchouaméni across, which left a space for McAllister, now that wasn't the case. Now a maximum of one midfield was being drawn, and at times not even that because Thuram was here. So now we can see that Tchouaméni is kind of matching up with McAllister, Rabiot is there on De Paul, Griezmann is there on Enzo Fernandez again. So it now stopped these overloads. So instantly, France were now more secure. Yes, they were 2-0 down or whatever, but they were now more secure, which was the first thing they needed to do. They couldn't let the game get away from them. And then eventually, they just kind of stayed in the game, and then eventually went more attacking. Now, Argentina made a bad change, in my opinion, taking Di Maria off for Acuna. If it was me, personally, if Di Maria had come off, I would have gone for Paredes and gone to their midfield four that we've seen in recent games. Paredes would have brought real control on the ball, and for me, that's the best way to see out the game, with the ball. But that didn't happen. France made changes. And like I said, this 4-4-2 shape, it gave them a better defensive platform, but it also gave them a better attacking platform as well. This more attacking platform also came from the fact that Deschamps brought Koeman on for Griezmann, and essentially went from a 4-4-2 to a 4-2-4. Combine this with the fact that Argentina became a little bit passive. They didn't shut up shop, they didn't park the bus, they kind of done an in-between. They kind of stopped pressing and attacking and playing with the intensity that they were playing before, but they didn't sit off in a low block. They kind of done this in-between job where they didn't know if they were here or there, and you cannot do that against a quality team like France. Especially when they've now got this new attacking shape, with Theo Hernandez also coming off for Camavinga, which gave them a bit more defensive security, but also still attacking freedom. And if you think Thuram's playing this side and coming inside, Camavinga's pushing forward, we can see that France can match up with Argentina's back four, and go front four against back four, but importantly, they're doing that with Mbappe dropping deep and getting on the ball. And that was the big change. France now had more rotations in the final third. They were able to just work the ball into different positions. They were able to get closer to each other, link up with each other, and they made Mbappe the free man. And what can you say about Mbappe? What a performance. For 70 minutes, really quiet, and then just quickly, he got on the ball and put his nation on his back and went, we're going to get back into this game. Give the ball to me, I'm going to make it happen. And to be fair, he did. He did exactly that and was absolutely brilliant. And yes, he may have lost this game, but he scored a hat-trick. And the mentality alone to score 3 penalties in a World Cup final after missing your penalty at the Euros last year to send your team out, combined with everything else that's happened, this guy is going to the top. If he can avoid injuries, he's going to the top. I think a lot of people are saying this game secured Messi as the greatest of all time, and it's really hard to argue with that. What a player. Mbappe might have a career which challenges it. He might, because this performance was really special. To be just so quiet, so out of it for 75 minutes, and then bang, just produce an incredible performance, basically. During extra time in the last 10 minutes of the 90, a really incredible performance. The only thing I would say for him as a player that he needs to work on is making sure that he doesn't have that first quiet 70 minutes. He needs to develop into a player that can go get the ball himself. At the moment, at times, he relies on people getting the ball to him. If he can make sure he's always on the ball, he's going to be incredible. Some of that comes down to Deschamps tactically as well. Probably not quite right in terms of the setup. But regardless, France got themselves back in the game. They got their goals. They took it to 3-3. Then it went all the way to penalties. And we know how it went from there. Argentina were victorious. But I thought we were treated to a really good game. For 70 minutes, it was a bit disappointing, a bit one-sided. The French didn't really show up. Argentina were in control without being spectacular. But Deschamps made some good tactical reactions and got them right back in the game. We got the drama of extra time. We got the drama of penalties. Personally, I would have preferred it if it was won with a moment of quality in extra time. Maybe Messi, something like that. Maybe Mbappe, whoever. But it did go to penalties. Argentina won, and I think they were just about deserving of winning this tournament. They won every single game at the tournament on expected goals. The only team to do that, so they were worthy winners. Messi won the World Cup, perhaps the greatest player of all time. I'm going to keep saying perhaps because I don't want to get ridiculed in the comments. Perhaps the greatest player of all time. Just won the biggest trophy in the world. It was a really good moment to see. He deserves this World Cup trophy. Absolutely he does. He's been brilliant at this World Cup. And so have you guys. Your support on the channel has been absolutely incredible throughout the World Cup. So just a thank you to you guys. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Like I said at the start, let me know some other video ideas you'd like to see in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.